What's up, everyone? This is going to be a rather quick video today. I wanted to go over the 5 tips or 5 ways to make you better at Destiny 2 PvP. These are things that I myself have applied to my own gameplay, and I can 100% assure you that they do work as long as you have the right mindset. Without further ado, let's get into the 5 tips to make you better at PvP. Just a reminder, I do stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/manofcoal. So if you ever want to stop over there and, just chat or find a place or a community where you can talk about all things Destiny, all things life, all things streaming, you can stop on over my stream. I try to stream there a couple days a week. So number 1 on the 5 tips to help you get better at PvP, first and foremost, you need to identify what your playstyle is and what kind of player you are. So for example, are you a player that's very aggressive? Are you a player that's very passive? Do you tend to be more tactical in your movements and your engagements that you encounter? Are you a loner? Are you somebody that just likes to kind of play by themselves and do their own thing? Are you an objective player? Are you a slayer? Figure out what kind of player you are, identify it, and make sure that you embrace that. It's okay to be more than one of these, but I have found that identifying what my strengths are as a player has ultimately made me more successful in PvP. Now, you may use all of these tips, you may use none of these tips. Hopefully this is just sort of a dialogue to help get you started or catalyze your improvement in Destiny 2 PvP. Number 2, instead of focusing on where your enemies are on your radar, focus on where your teammates are first. Then be aware of your radar. This is something that is probably going to take a lot of time and practice before you actually start seeing drastic changes or improvements to your PvP gameplay, but it is a change that will grant you the biggest reward. The more fights that you engage in with your teammates, the longer that you are going to notice that you are staying alive, especially in 3v3s or competitive. This is actually going to be a different video that I'm going to make after this one. It's going to be more focused on the competitive side. Again, this change might take some people longer than others to start noticing some changes or improvements to your gameplay, but it will have a greater impact overall in the long run. Number 3, use weapons that you feel comfortable using, not just meta weapons. Whether it's using a hand cannon or a pulse rifle or an auto rifle, sniper rifle, you get the point. Find weapons that fit your playstyle and make it easier for you to play. This is one that I actually had the hardest time adjusting to, because in my mind, I was afraid that if I didn't use weapons that were the meta, then I felt like I was going to be at some kind of disadvantage. While there is some slight truth to that in terms of time to kill, the most important thing is that you are comfortable with the loadout that you use. Again, this is also keeping in mind that you have identified my first rule, which is figuring out what type of player you are. Which leads me into tip number 4. Change your loadouts depending on the map, if needed. For example, a game of 6v6, either Control, Supremacy, or Clash, on Javelin will end up having more close-range gunfights with shotguns, fusion rifles, hand cannons, compared to Widow's Court, which may have more long-range fights with pulse rifles, scout rifles, snipers. Playstyles may change on different maps. Change yours accordingly, but don't deviate too far from what your strengths are as a player. It's really important that you identify your strengths as a player, and I can't emphasize this enough. The more that you are aware of what you are good at, the more that you'll be able to put yourself in those situations where you can utilize your strengths the most. And number 5, and I recommend doing this last, adjust your sensitivity settings on your mouse, or if you're using a controller, adjust it on your controller. When you change your sensitivity settings, it's almost like pressing the reset button on your muscle memory you have built up until that moment. Do not make an impulse decision with your sensitivity. I recommend using a sensitivity for at least 2 weeks just in order to get the full effect and understanding of whether or not it's the right sensitivity for you. Again, don't make an impulse decision just because you had a bad day of gaming or just because you had a bad game. Understand that you will have bad games, you will have great games. You might have somewhere in between. Don't make a snap decision on your sensitivity. And here's a bonus tip. If you've made it this far into the video, I thank you. You're the best, but I've got a bonus tip for you. So here's a bonus tip. If you're on PC, change your field of view. By increasing your field of view, it allows more of the map in front of you to be on your screen. therefore being able to take in more information as you play. Now also be aware that cranking this all the way up, I think the limit is 105, can also increase the amount of GPU that is being used, so if you're already trying to squeeze out as many frames as you can, maybe hold off on this change until you can afford an upgrade. Overall, just be patient with yourself. The more patient that you are with yourself, the more time that you're allowing yourself to grow as a player. Give yourself time to learn and to grow, and I promise that you will see improvements if you follow these 5 tips. 6 if you were watching all the way through the end of the video. That's going to do it for the video though. If you made it all the way to the end, do me a favor and put your channel links down in the comments below, whether it's Twitch, Mixer, YouTube. I'd love to see all of your guys' content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.